Hello. In Crofton Parish in summer 2019, we are doing a teaching series called Be Well, where we are exploring everything to do with well-being, mental and emotional health. We're asking ourselves, what does it mean to be well in the love and grace of God? And I'm really delighted that as part of that teaching series, we're going to be interviewing some of the members of Crofton Parish who in their working lives have been involved in fields of well-being and mental health. And the first one of these is Andy Williams. Andy, thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed today. Why don't you tell people a little bit about your working career and your involvement in mental health? Thank you.
Sure, thanks, Richard. So I joined the Navy from school at aged 18, initially trained as a general adult nurse and later as a mental health psychiatric nurse, and later went into nurse education. And it was really, I guess, in my last 3 or 4 years in my role as a senior tutor responsible for the mental health care and support of students who were undertaking all aspects of nursing courses. I became very much aware of the significant number increasingly of students who were having mental health issues around anxiety, depression, around exam time, but also at other times, financial difficulties, and some students even with florid mental illness who were actually coming onto the course. At the very beginning, we were picking these students up. And it seemed to increase year on year over that time. And this is common, I think, in many universities and in education today, in schools, FE colleges, and even the younger junior primary schools. Also, it seems to be an increasing problem.
One of the things we're going to be exploring during our Be Well series is the idea that that mental health rates are increasing quite significantly in the modern world. This idea that even as we're becoming more economically prosperous, yet at the same time rates of well-being are dropping. And as someone that's lectured in mental health and as someone that's tutored lots of students, there are lots of reasons that people offer lots of different explanations for that. What would you say are some of the factors for those rising rates of poor mental health?
Okay, so I think it's difficult to say, but I mean this label, the snowflake generation, that seems to be being bandied around. I think social media has a lot to say about that. Whether it's young people are comparing themselves to each other, they want to be the best. We've heard obviously that some of these self-harm, suicide websites can be quite damaging. People wanting to look beautiful or whatever it might be, comparing themselves to others. And it just seemed to be that students emotionally are pouring out a lot of their heartfelt issues over the internet, over Facebook and other social media. So I think that is a contributing factor. But the full explanation, I don't know all of it, but I think that does seem to be a huge factor these days. Whether it's because mental health is becoming less stigmatised, and one would hope that it is, and people are talking about it more. And so people are asking and seeking answers sooner than in the past where they may have buried those problems. But yeah, I think there are a range of factors really.
Great.
Coming in.
Thank you. And just the last question I think I'm going to ask everybody that we're interviewing. What role do you think the church can have, Christian communities can have, in helping people, in helping promote questions around mental health and well-being?
Okay, so we're seeing now that some services outside are really stretched now, I think, sort of trying to cope with the load of referrals. I think we've got one unique thing to offer in our branding, if you like, Richard, that being a faith community, being a church, body, mind and spirit, really go together. And I think the fact that we are a church, that added dimension gives that added plus in people who know where we're coming from and what we can offer them in terms of how they can come to terms with some of their mental health issues and be part of recovery, but also be included and being a part of a faith community.
Great, thank you so much. So Andy is part of something new that we're going to be looking at in Crofton Parish this year, which we'll be talking about in the future weeks of Be Well. So I do hope you'll carry on coming along on the Sundays to hear more from this series, as well as accessing the different interviews and the different content that we put online. But God bless you as you discover what it means to be well in the love and grace of God.